experience plus the way the person has been taught to cope with things is what made them feel like that was a good idea, right? And so if you don't want them to do that any longer, what we'd have to do is be able to give them enough information, enough resources, enough experiences, and enough time to come to that conclusion on their own, because then they wouldn't
Okay.
want to do it.
Yeah.
So
So
And
one
I
thing I
wasn't
would
done.
recommend,
I wasn't done
one
just
thing,
yet. I wasn't done
yeah,
just
but
yet.
you're on a
I,
sensitive topic, so
I
pause.
okay, and I
One thing I
understand
would
that.
recommend when
But
you
I would much
enter a
rather somebody
room,
drop me. I would much rather somebody
when you
drop me
enter
than for
a
me to not be able
room,
to finish my sentence.
well
So
then
anyway,
drop.
like I was
right?
saying, I
You're
really
on a
appreciate the
debate
help,
panel
but
and
I
you're
It's
gotta
a
not
finish what I'm
triggering
trying to
saying.
say
topic
you
that you
want.
need to be cautious of. And I'm giving you some advice when you enter a room. You should say, hey, I want to talk about P3DOs for a second. Is that okay? Because the host may not actually want to have that as a conversation.
And I understand that, which is why if she were to have randomly dropped me, I would have been in the comments like, enjoy it, have a nice rest of your day. Sorry if there was any adverse reaction. I don't mind when people are uncomfortable with what I'm talking about. That's fine. But at the end of the day, me prefacing what I'm saying in order to say it doesn't necessarily help too much. Specifically because I've tried that before, and give me 1 second.
Samantha, do you want this as a conversation? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All
Okay.
right. So my main issue with that take is that while yes, it has been linked to like past traumas, it has also been scientifically studied and found to be like as deep seated as say like homosexualism, right? And I think that we've all pretty much accepted that you can't make somebody not attracted to what they're attracted to. There's been no viable ways of making that done. So you can
Right.
say that, well, I think that it was triggered by some, and yes, I could agree with that, and I think that that's unfortunate. But there's no way to unpedo somebody who hasn't been pedoed yet. Like there's literally zero scientific evidence backing that up.
Yeah, we know historically there's been P3DOs that have not had trauma that just commit it.
Yeah.
So trauma has very little to do with it. It may increase it, but it doesn't have a lot to do with it, I'd say.
And like
Yep.
And like I understand not wanting to just like write people off. I think that that's very commendable. But in this case, when all the science says, "Hey, we ain't got no way to help this," well, then that is what it is.
I think
I appreciate all that patience and sorry. I'm just parenting and whatnot.
I think
Understandable.
I think it's
But yeah, to get back to the point,
I was
I'm
trying
gonna
to speak on the
explain my
point.
views, and then you guys can sound off from there. That's just usually how this goes for me. But let me know if you guys want to ask any, I guess, specific questions. Um, but yeah, so I have come to believe only hurt people can hurt people, right? And that comes from the whole nature versus nurture argument, as well as whether or not I believe that babies are born a certain way, right? Um, and so for that, for the nature versus nurture argument, I vote 50-50. It's a 50-50 split between the both of them. Therefore, any actions in the future, the blame for those would be continue to be a 50-50 split, right? Any experience
Oh,
that a human has, they only experience it in the way they do because of the way they are, because of innate values that they hold, as well as their upbringing
yeah.
and their social
And I
economic
think,
standings and all those other things. I'm not done just yet, but then you can ask the question. I swear it's going to be close. And so coming
Yeah,
from
but if
that
you want to have a
mindset,
conversation about it, you got to have some back and forth.
I was, it was like one more word. I mean, we can stop now because at this point we already have, but one more word.
When you say 50-50 split on blame, are you saying like between the predator and the victim?
No, no. I'm
Okay.
saying any person that does
it's just
any
generally
action,
speaking.
yes, any person that does any action, the action that that person has done, it it is okay for them to do in their mind, and or it is okay for them to do the thing that they think is not okay for the reasons, and those reasons are 50% because of who they are innately and 50% because of things that they were taught throughout their livelihood, as well as experiences, social and economic, and all those other factors that play a part.
Well,
It is a
I think,
50-50 split is what I'm saying. So we cannot
yeah.
blame any single thing and therefore cannot act on blaming that single thing in order to have that action not repeat itself.
Oh, I wanted
That's
to
a really strange
kind of
take on
bring
that.
up a different
Hmm.
point because we were talking about this topic as like generally speaking, but I think what happens is like I think as a sensitive topic that this is, that is handled on a case by case basis. So I think there's a bit of a difference there, but at the same time, I want to tell you that there's uh, I think what should be done is there should be a way for people to um, gosh, I don't want to say that I don't know why I thought that. There should be a way for people to for there to be a, I mean, as weird as this might sound, a dysregulate, like, no, what's the word I'm looking for? There should be a negative stigma between the, I mean, which there already is, but I don't know if like maybe, like, because it's like, who am I to really say?
Give
Because
me
this
one
is just
second.
me thinking on the spot. Is that, okay, uh, as I try and piece this together, I'm trying to say that there should be a normalized stigma between the people that have this huge age gap in their um, relationships. Is that
And that
because at
is,
the same time it's like, yeah.
if you don't mind, that is where I'd like to stop you, if that's okay.
Oh, well, that's where I stopped. Yeah.
Oh, even better. When you phrase it in the way of age gap in a relationship, what we do is we add a sense of normalcy and a sense of schmexual interaction, right? And
I'm saying that
something
there
that
should
we
be
have
a
learned.
negative stigma though.
No, no, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying the reason for the negative stigma is what we're disagreeing on, right? Now, there shouldn't be a
No,
negative, and and that's where I throw a lot of people off. But I swear it'll all come full circle, right? So what we know about grape, all grapists, anyone who does something that that person did not want, right? We can all agree that all schmetophiles are grapists, and that all schmetophilic activity is grape, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So once we understand that, what we have to understand is grape is not about sexual interest. It's not about sexual attraction. It's about power and control. It's about the person who is the graping, or who is doing the graping, having some skewed, misunderstood understanding of the concepts of power and control, and then taking that out on people. Now, for schmetophiles, they choose to take it out on
It's
children because of their own. Like, I'm not saying I have the answer to everyone, but what, Malachi,
yeah,
I
it's
need you
not
to
always about a
give me
power
just 1 second.
dynamic. It can often be about a sexual release.
Also, we were kind of speaking as if like I know Bernie, you had alluded to that, hurt people, but that just assumes that all people are altruistic, and I think that there are truly selfish, sick people out there. who exists with no outside or external factors factoring into their selfishness or their evil or the act that they did. I
So
truly don't think
I think
people are necessarily altruistic, and I don't think that all schmedophiles are, hurt people. I think they're just messed up individuals.
I want to
In that
say,
case,
um,
would you be okay with taking brand scans of those people and then taking brand scans of every baby that's ever born and then killing the babies that have matching brain scans? Because that's what I'm hearing. You're hearing what I'm hearing is that you don't think people can change. You think they are born one
that's
way.
kind of
No, I
They
quite
will
the
didn't say
continue
reach.
to
that.
do
I didn't
things
say
in
that.
that
I'm,
way.
I'm just saying that I don't think that,
Yeah, that's
all
quite the
people
reach.
are necessarily altruistic.
And I'm saying that any person that isn't got that way. That was something that happened as a result of something else. Probably a lot of something else's, most likely compounding something else's. It's a very complicated situation. It's something that is, like everyone else said, a case by
So,
case
Bernie, do
basis.
you do
But
you
the
believe
only
that all
similarity
Bernie, do you
that I
believe that all people are good?
no, I believe
Like
that
all
all
people
people
are
are
good
born
without
equal.
without the outside influence of someone else. Do you believe that all people, if they didn't go through any sort of abuse or anything bad, that they would end up a good person?
One, it depends on what you mean by a quote unquote good person, because that is a subjective term as well
Well,
as
unhurt,
the only,
unhurt
huh?
in your mind, in your eyes, and it seems like from your own perspective, unhurt. And let's not use good. Let's use unhurt. Do you think people can be unhurt and still hurt
No,
people?
no. More,
Mm.
more
See, I don't
specifically,
agree with that.
more
I don't agree with that.
specifically, I don't think anyone can be unhurt. Getting born into the world against your will, in and of itself, is a trauma that you have to learn to deal with. For any human, let alone any other experience at any point that can happen to literally anyone for any fucking reason. Sorry, not trying to cuss. And so because that is something that I've come to understand, like as someone who was like beat by her mother, forced to have a child against her will, homeless for years and years, all this shit, all this stuff can happen. But at the end of the day, even who I thought was my most crazy perpetrator, I'm like, how could you do this to a child that you love? You're my mother. How could you do this? Oh yeah. Well, she was also beat by army boots by her dad. Oh, and then her dad was forced to join an army to fight a fight that he didn't believe in. Oh yeah, and then time before that, the slave stuff. And then if we take that for every single person, what we can start to understand is that do we really know who anyone is? No, because their experiences start to compound with who they are. And then when we move forward from there, we can look at all the amazing people who have done amazing things and had really, really terrible backgrounds. And if you look at all of those, the only conclusion that makes sense is that both of them matter to the same extent. Because there are people that have been done terribly, done dirty, done grimy, people that have witnessed and been part of genocides and terrible atrocities for humanity. And those people are quote unquote good people. Those people, for some reason, didn't you choose to take that trauma out. But then there are people that, in our eyes, came up with nothing but riches and privilege and happiness and all these things, and they still do terrible things. So when you try and look at it all, and place blame on it
So
all and understand that no one's trauma is worse than anyone else's, the only thing that makes sense is that it's a 50-50 split. And if it's a 50-50 split, that means that it was half made and half there. And if we can try to focus on the part that was made and try and not reverse it, but teach them healthier coping mechanisms, because they did have to deal with that, so that when they move forward in life and those things are happening, they are choosing to do different because they now understand what happened to them different.
I
Now
want
are
to
we like
speak
kind of getting like
last
wait,
thing
So,
before
so I have a question for you. So,
Jason. No,
oh,
hold
sorry.
on, go first, and then I'll say something.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm really sorry that you had to experience homelessness. I've been homeless before as well, and it made me very calloused, and it took me a while for me to like soften up and have more fluidity with my understanding of the world after that kind of harshness I had to go through. So I just want to extend my sympathy.
Well, thanks. I super duper appreciate it. Because of what I said before, I can definitely assume that just because we both experienced homelessness, we probably didn't take it in the same ways, probably didn't affect us in the same ways, because nothing ever does, because we're different people. But yeah, I appreciate your sympathies, and I definitely would offer you my own, because it's a terrible situation to be in, having the basic human dignities and reasons for surviving being a question every day, every waking moment. It is quite indeed a process. But yeah, so hope you're doing better and whatnot.
So I have a question. There's construction in the background. I have a question for Bernie. Bernie's been one who's been saying that that rapists should have forgiveness. Just for
Uh,
clarification purposes.
no, I'm saying that the
Okay.
victims should have the forgiveness, and that rapists need to be forcefully removed from society so that they can undergo a rehabilitation process in order to change their mindsets.
Okay, because I was a little confused. I thought you said that they should have forgiveness. Because if you say they do have, because you say they do have forgiveness, my next question, I may be able to ask my next question to you.
I believe forgiveness as a concept isn't something that's given to offenders. It's something that is accepted by victims, right? As far as I know, forgiveness is the process of understanding that, yes, you were wronged, indubitably, without anything else. You were 100% wronged. But the only thing but humans cannot control other people's thoughts or actions. The only thing you can control is your own. So whenever you are hurt, whenever things do happen, the only thing you can control from that point forward is your reaction, right? And when you control your reaction, you go from, different ways of coping with what happened to understanding that sadly it did happen. But that's all that it can stop happening. It's happened. You can move on forward without continuing to give it life and continuing to you know have it adversely affect and negatively affect how you're processing and how you're coping with things moving forward. It's always going to be a part of you. It's always going to affect how you cope with things and how you process things. But you can choose to make that for the better or for the worse. And is it a hard choice? Yes. Is it something that a lot of people need a lot of different things to help them choose? Yes, absolutely. But I definitely don't think that it's something that's given to an offender. It's not something I'm not forgiving you for what you did for you. I'm forgiving you for what you did so I can move on with my life and understand that it's not some terrible plot out against me. It's not some terrible thing that the world has done. It's just the world, because life sucks, because kids get cancer, because grandmas get punched, because life sucks. But you gotta try not to make try not to be the offender. You try not to make other people's lives suck. And that's usually, what ends up kind of helping some people at least. But
Is
it's
this
not
a
something
Okay,
that's given to the offender.
hear me out or eat me out. Not to sound like an asshole or anything, but my wife has cancer right now, and she's going through treatments. So that doesn't make me go and take someone's innocence away. And so my question to you is, do you have the same energy with necrophilia? Because the reason why I'm asking this question is because there's some people who literally break into funeral homes, literally dig up corpses, and that's defamation of corpse. And people also say that's like quite with rape also. And they would go and be, if they are infertile or they cannot get, or they want children so badly, or where this decedents cannot consent because when you're no longer with us, you have no rights, almost little to no rights. Okay, so do you have the same energy with those who commit necrophilia? Because again, some women break into funeral homes and break into morgues and what have you because they want to have children, and some men do this because they want to have power. This is why a lot of men, do not get hired at funeral homes because of this.
110%. If anything, to bring up terrible subjects, but to push it even further, just to show you that I've done all the inside work to figure out as 50-50 as I can be. Sadly, yes, they